Hello everyone, Scott here again with another Hyperbole. I know it's Hyperbole, but Hyperbole makes it mine. I just, for reals, actually did just get out of Suicide Squad. Yeah, they actually have it on the cover, and that works out well for me this time. But Suicide Squad, saw it in 3D. It is Tuesday cheap night, came out on Friday, but everyone was really like, nah, go for cheap night, which, there you go, we saw it on cheap night. And that's a really polarizing thing with this movie. Its box office was crazy, 130 million, third biggest of the year overall. Within like a million of third, fourth, fifth kind of thing. And this movie, I figured was a 60 millionaire. It's movie 3 of the DC stuff. I will not talk spoilers whatsoever during this. Don't worry there. But as far as for movie 3 of DC, we should not have this movie. Shouldn't be here yet. And Act 1 really blew 5 or 6 good, decent movies they could have gotten out of this stuff. And they're gone. We've already moved on. Because no one's going to care to see the Killer Croc origin story when we got the 15-minute segment. You could have actually had a movie or part of a movie focusing on that. Some of the darker stuff like Killer Croc, KG Beast, and that kind of stuff. But no, he's just there. It's there now. So that, first off, was a problem. Second off, I'm going to talk about a bit of the look. People talking about how good Margot Robbie looks, how good Jared Leto looks as Joker. They love the stuff. Personally, I don't like the Joker look. Leto's great in it, honestly. He's fantastic in the portrayal, but there's never any real bit for him to do. It's just, I want that. And it doesn't go beyond that, which is a bit of a pain, but it's good that they didn't focus on him because it's not his story, but then it gets to be a thing about why is he even in it and blah, blah, blah. Her, I mean, there's so much going on. It's busy, and I get that. It's a crazy person. They would just acquire things. At one point, like, she's got different buckles on here. There's one point when she's dancing, she's got like 4 watches on her arm. I get that. Crazy person, blah, 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 blah. But a bit with superhero iconography that I hold near and dear is the simplisticness of the look. In that you can take a silhouette of someone and know who it is. You can do that with Indiana Jones, even. Stuff like that, right? It connects. I get with Harley, it's a bit different. It doesn't work quite the same way, but there's so much busy going on with the tattoos, all the earrings, all the ring. It's all distractionary stuff. It doesn't need to be there, and it doesn't add anything either. Is there character reason as to why this stuff is there? Well, they didn't give it. Now, is it a case of, like, does the actress know why? And is there anything filmmaker-y why? Like, she has this or this or this? Or is it simply because the costume designer thought it'd be cool? And therein lies the problem. We don't get that stuff with this movie. Not just with her, with everybody. Like Joker having the metal teeth, I think is an obvious case of Batman punched out his teeth. Really. That's what everybody theorizes. Oops. But we never get that. We never get any of that kind of stuff. We get no backstory on that. And yet, Act 1 is backstory. Act 2 is team. Act 3 is, are you a god? And I'll leave it at that. I saw it with 4 friends. And I'll tell you their opinions before I get to mine. A friend of mine who's been really critical, who I've mentioned before, hates like Batman, Superman. He's not even a Batman fan. He didn't like. He thought it was terrible. It's a step up from Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman, but thought it was terrible. That's the actual word he used. The action, as he put it, and I won't disagree. There was bits where it was very Black Hawk Down style, in that it's a squad of guys with guns going around doing stuff, like military group along with these guys. So there's that. And that's about it. Like, there was nothing really there. It was disjointed. We all thought it was very disjointed, but that's a whole editing story I'll come to. Friend countered that by saying it wasn't terrible, but it was bad, but he still enjoyed it. Like, his words were he would never sit down to watch it specifically. But, I mean, I know I flipped around with a bad movie and seen a scene I like. I'm like, oh, I'll watch this bit. Another friend said he just couldn't quite get over how disjointed and jumbled it was. It was a rough one. He really couldn't quite pinpoint it yet, and I get that. There's a lot going on in this movie, needlessly so. And then the two of us, I mentioned her before, she and I were kind of more on the same page with it in that it was fun. Yeah, it wasn't great, but it was fun. It was a mess, though. Oh, it was a mess. But it was fun. I had a good time. Right? Isn't that the key to these movies? Now, they can be fun and critically acclaimed, and there's no problem with that. You get things like the Marvel movies, for example, and this is not Marvel versus DC, but they're the easiest examples. So, you get stuff like that, and you get this movie where I overall think that it's a pretty mess. Kind of like that. This really sums it up. This movie is disjointed with some legitimately funny parts, with some legitimately good action, some great scenes of things, and yet the music is like someone saw Guardians using all this classic music and thinking, oh, people like hearing the old songs set to cool stuff. I can do that. And then using probably 3 when you should have used 1. And that was a huge factor because when you're like, oh, this song's cool, this is going to be a cool scene. And when you just start getting into it and like looking forward to it playing out and playing over the scene, we get a new scene with a new song. It's like someone thought they knew how this stuff worked and didn't quite get it. That's always been a peeve of mine when I see things like that. So that was one factor. Great soundtrack though, like 4 movies worth of soundtrack, but there you go. We get characters that thematically don't make sense with what's going on. The whole point is Superman is dead. We were lucky he was a good one. We need to build a team to stop the next Superman. So I'm going to use these metahumans. The war on metahumans is going to be fought with metahumans. There you go. Problem is, of this team, you're including a crazy woman with a baseball bat. That's literally it. She has no powers. She has no anything. Nothing. She is legitimately crazy. Pretty good shot. Kinda hot. That's it. There's also a guy who's really good with guns. Can't miss. Okay. There's a guy that throws boomerangs. Literally. Okay. I don't understand how these are on your superhero, your anti-Superman squad. I don't understand. Also, these guys are all like imprisoned at the time of making this squad. So we quite literally have the Batman to explain for a few of these either being captured or being run out of Gotham. So just get Batman to do it. Or the other heroes who we've established exist as of this point in the Batman versus Superman, etc. thing. Thematically, this movie makes no sense. And really, most of what we get are random dudes along with them because they're trying to do a thing. They have a mission, of course they do. And it takes place, so like, from the bad thing happening to the climax, it's established, it's been 3 days. Well, where the hell are the other heroes? We at least know from Batman versus Superman of Aquaman, Flash, Cyborg, Batman, Wonder Woman. Like, we've seen active Flash stopping a crime in the convenience store. Batman's Batman. Wonder Woman's Wonder Woman. Cyborg might not be ready yet. And Aquaman's just like piss off. But that's still a bunch. What the hell's going on? It's frustrating. Like the whole concept of why this is happening makes no sense. And yet, if this was 5 movies later, I'd have no problem with it. Because it would be a case of, hey, we can put these tools to good use to do things. Because not everything needs to be a world-ending savior. And yet that's what this ends up being. Well, that doesn't work when you're doing these. You can't make the Avengers with Daredevil and Iron Fist and Luke Cage. You make the Defenders with that. And you deal with that problem. This is the Suicide Squad. This is not the Justice League. But they still are dealing with the Justice League threat. It doesn't work. It really doesn't work. Put them against street level stuff and you're fine. And that's what they should have done. After you establish the entire Killer Croc thing and the Deadshot thing and the Joker thing and you do all this stuff and you establish them properly. That said, the movie's fun. I enjoyed it. I do not regret it whatsoever. It's easily the best of the DC ones by far. Will Smith carries this thing on his back, which is hilarious. There's a line in there when he says, I will carry you to the end if I have to. A little on the nose with that. He is absolutely the hero of this movie. His whole talk about I want to be the villain is BS. He's the hero. And there's always that heart of gold type thing. But he's still a bad guy. Like, absolutely, there is evilness and prick-dickness to him. So, yeah. But overall, Suicide Squad is an absolute recommend. If you have any interest in seeing it, it's better than all those critics bashing it by far. Is it a mess? Absolutely. And I'll tell the story behind that. Apparently, after Batman vs. Superman, we have Warner Brothers panicking and seeing people like the Suicide Squad trailer and want to get that trailer company to do an edit of Suicide Squad. They compared the two in test screenings, and screening people liked the trailer cut better. So they went with David Ayer fully cooperating on this to do a compromise, and reshoots were needed, and that's the rumored reshoots to add humor. That's where that came from. That went through and is a jumbled mess, but that's what they ended up with. Who knows if it's better? It's more blockbuster than it probably would have been otherwise, but the other version could have been better, but that's so dangerously easy to say, and I don't agree with it altogether. I enjoyed this movie. It was fun. I legitimately laughed. I legitimately enjoyed things. But I just have a problem with it existing in the first place. That's about it. So I will leave you with that. Do stay tuned. The next one's probably going to be a week from today for Hyperbole, in that Sausage Party is out, but there is a thing called the Canadian Lakehead Exhibition here, the CLE, in Thunder Bay. They take over the entire Silver City parking lot and put on a fair with rides and stuff. And you can still get in to see movies. You pay the fair admission and you get in and you see the movie at a discount. It's whatever. I just have no time to deal with that. So I'm not going to see Sausage Party till after it's gone, which will probably be next week. But until then, thanks for watching. Do check that out. Again, like, favorite, and subscribe. It is Cyclops Scott here on YouTube and over on Twitter. TheGuiltyPleasureCinema.com. Also on Facebook. Check all that stuff out. Thanks for watching. See you next time.